let's welcome Bhaktimarga Swami Maharaj. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda. 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 Jaya Buddha Chitra Jaya Gaura Purnima. 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 Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Buddha Chitra Jaya Gaura Purnima. Jaya Buddha Chitra Jaya Gaura Purnima. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Buddha Chitra Jaya Gaura Purnima. Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare. Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Sivasadi Gaura Bhaktimarga. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Thank you very much for coming to the program today, and members of our community, the Russian-speaking devotees, and anybody else who happens to be sort of of like floating around here. Everyone's welcome to celebrate the appearance of the Golden One, the Golden Avatar, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Okay, so I would just like to say thank you for allowing me to celebrate with you. Because when the Gaura Purnima took place, I was in a plane. And then I spent 5 hours at the Paris airport. And then I was in a plane from Paris to Toronto. So my whole time got celebrating the Lord's appearance got gobbled up in the airport. Ambiance. And, but that's okay. I was desperate to get back because of the war going on in Iran, and many flights were canceled, so I was grounded in Mumbai for 2 days. Otherwise, I would have been here in time. So I caught the tail end of the festival here, which was on Tuesday. Yeah. And, but I'm spending some time with you, so I'm happy. Hare Krishna. Okay. Anyways, who is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that we're celebrating today? Let's talk a little bit about what was going on planet Earth during his time. We know that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was a great luminary, and he was here at a time when there was a little bit of a renaissance going on, a renaissance of bhakti devotion. Some of his contemporaries were Guru Nanak, because they met in Puri. He was the sort of founder of the Sikh movement. And so we're talking about that in the 1500s. Mahaprabhu went to Puri, and Guru Nanak was there. They met. They actually connected with each other. We don't have so many records on it, but our Sikh brothers and sisters, they do have some records about that meeting. That might have been very brief. Also at that time was Mirabai. Many of you probably know about Mirabai. She was a female saint and a very strong Krishna Bhakta. There was, Surdas and Jiva Goswami, some of the contemporaries of Chaitanya. So what was happening in India, there was a lot of disturbance going on. There was a lot of tantric yoga going on. There were a lot of sort of black magic happening. And so Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to turn things around. And as you know, Advaita Acharya, one of the 5 features of the Absolute Truth, he made a plea. He prayed to Krishna. He said, the situation is really bad socially right now. We're in bad shape. So he went to the Ganga, close to where he was living, and he got some water from the Ganga, and he brought his little Govardhan Shiva, and he brought Tulsi leaves. And it's understood in the Shastra that if you want to conquer God, if you want to get his attention, you offer Tulsi leaves, some sacred water to the deity of Krishna. So if you're wanting something, there's the one. Okay, a lot of disturbance going on. In Europe, there was a lot of trouble brewing as well. The Renaissance came out of that. People were oppressed for a long time in Europe, in many sections of Europe, and now people were experiencing what's called humanism. Let's get a little more in touch with ourselves, let's care for each other a little bit more. And there was oppression. Some of it came from the church, I hate to say. Now, what happened here in this part of the world? The New World. The Europeans called this the New World. It was full of wilderness. That's at that time, talking about late 1400s, early 1500s, everything was covered with trees practically. Trees and wetlands, this whole area that we are sitting on right now. And, part of there was the Mohawk culture, part of the Algonquin culture, there were the Wendat people, and there was a lot of disturbance, especially amongst the Iroquois. They are very warrior-like. And they would go and loot and pillage and rape and all that kind of stuff that we don't like. And they took up slavery. Anyone they captured from another nation,
they hold him like slaves, just like all the nightmarish stuff that we hear that goes on in many places in the world. Well, that happened. It's not that all of our indigenous people were totally peace-loving. They had trouble amongst themselves. It's called the human factor. Humans have problems with each other, and we haven't been nice to each other. So at that particular time, there was a person who was like a luminary, kind of like a peace-loving person. He was born in 1525, according to my research. And he came from what we call south of the border. And he established what's called the Six Nations. He got all the groups together who were having trouble with each other to come and reason and talk and have dialogue. So that was the magic that he created. I'm giving a class. Everybody here wants to, from the Russian-speaking community, they want to say Haribol to you. We'll talk later. Okay. Yeah, so that's a little bit of the history. He was a peace-loving kind of person. He got everyone together, and they established what's called like the Six Nations. Got everyone together to try to cooperate and drop the animosity, and as you heard the saying in English, bury the hatchets. You know what a hatchet is? It's kind of like an axe type thing. That's how you scalp people. Bury them. Just bury the hatchets. We're not going to do this anymore. We're not going to fight. We're going to actually start loving. So at the same time with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, during this period, we have this person, his name is Hayabata, and of course things weren't recorded so much from the community, but we do have some information that he was very effective in getting everyone together. So I'm just going to read one page only from the book Jayapataka Swami. Okay, he gathered information about Chaitanya's life and did a series of talks, and that became this book, and it's called Gaura. Okay? Now, I don't want to take super credit for this, but when he came here in the 80s, I had suggested to Maharaj, because he was living in Mayapur, and he's familiar with the Chaitanya Lila, I said, Maharaj, have you ever thought about taking all the stuff from Chaitanya Charitamrita, Chaitanya Bhagavad, and all other biographies of monks, and putting it together in a book? And he said, that's a great idea. So he did it. He did it. Okay, he won't remember that. I don't think so. So here it is. It's just like a sort of an intro, and I'll give you a little background, okay? Everybody knows Kali Yuga, right? Everybody who doesn't know Kali Yuga? Oh, I know. Well, Kali Yuga is a dark age. It's a time when there's a lot of disruption, a time of confusion. We're in it right now, okay? So, and everyone's heard the term avatar from the famous movie, where it was this James Cameron, the director. Where did he get it from? By the way, James Cameron is an Ontario boy. He was born and raised in Northern Ontario. So anyways, he's done big well for himself. And so Avatar is borrowed. There was no copyright issues as far as I know. Avatar means one who descends from a higher plane and comes down to a lower plane. I'm not talking about aircraft. From a higher platform to a lower platform to raise the consciousness of the people. And so for this age, it is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Okay? So a little bit about this. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Krishna, descends to the earth once in a day of Brahma. Brahma's day is calculated as 1 1,000 cycles of 4 ages or yugas. First we have Satya, then we have Treta, we have Dwapara. At the tail end of Dwapara came Krishna, and Kali. Krishna comes in the Dwapara Yuga and Lord Chaitanya comes in the Kali Yuga, which began about 5,000 years ago and is characterized by quarrel and hypocrisy. It is very hard to be materially happy in the Kali Yuga. But there is one redeeming quality of this age. Although the Kali Yuga is like an ocean of defects, one can get liberated from material association and achieve the spiritual kingdom by chanting Krishna's holy name. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Usually it takes many, many births to achieve the spiritual sky. As Krishna states in the Bhagavad Gita, Bahunam Janmanam Ante. Bahunam means many, Janmanam birth, Ante, after. After many births, we might become a devotee. After some births, some lifetimes, you may become a jnani. Or you might be, after some time, become a yogi. And after being a yogi, you become a bhakta, the devotee of the Lord. So this is the situation. In fact, I remember years ago we had a visit from Toronso Maharaj. Most of you know him. He's the author of the Prabhupada Amrita. And he was sitting right there close to the Asasa. And he was quoting from the Bhagavatam verse, Kirtana eva Krishnasya, mukta sanna param pranjit. And that's stating that this is an ocean of faults. Everything goes bad. The only thing that's good about this age is this name. So I was a kid growing up as a Christian, and we used to pray the Lord's Prayer, or the Our Father. We used to call it Catholicism. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. We used to wonder, scratch my head, what does hallowed be thy name refer to? I never really asked anybody. And even if I did, I think very few people will be able to explain that. But it means sacred is the name, holy is the name, right? And that is a common ground feature of all the faith groups all over the world. Whether it's Buddhism or Christianity or Islam, they all say the same thing about the name of God is special, right? And it's important from the spiritual world. The sound vibration itself is powerful. And the sound vibration is God now, was God, and will be God forever. Okay? So all the powers that are in the name, Hare Krishna, etc., that's all spiritual, that's all God potency. Okay, in the Satya Yuga, people lived for, anybody know? 100,000 years. Good guess. In Treta Yuga, they lived
10,000.
And in Dwapara Yuga,
1,000.
Average, round figure. It's not that when you reach 1,000, you dropped it. In fact, just before coming here, I was on the phone with a doctor friend of ours. They live up in Nova Scotia. And I've known this somebody in Temple for a long time. So I was just talking to her on a Zoom call. She's got 5 days to live, they say, the doctors. So I was able to talk to her and the family and just say, she's got kidney failure. She's a doctor, but she's also, still, doctors get sick too, by the way. And so just chant this name, think of Krishna. You're getting a promotion, you're going to a better place. You've done well in life. You've been very dharmic, so please don't worry about anything. All that you have to do is engage in sweet surrender. Okay. Everybody understands that surrender, you know what it means?
Yeah.
Okay, when you say, well, let's say this is white flag, and you're dealing with the enemies, and we surrender, you wave it like this. But the Kshatriyas of India never did that. They'll fight to the finish. They didn't want to take the humiliation. So, but when we say, you can't challenge God with that. You can't challenge Krishna. I'm not going to surrender to you. That's the problem we've had all this time, all these years, all these lifetimes. I'm not going to surrender to Krishna. I still have some appointments with Maya. I'm lined up to continue to be busy and flirt with Maya. So maybe in the future, Krishna, you can check me out later on. But the situation is that we all absolutely must surrender. And if you can take it, put the adjective in front of the word surrender, which doesn't sound so great, but you put sweet surrender, then it sounds okay. It's fine. When Krishna was speaking Bhagavad Gita, he was a grandfather. He was 125 years old. Hare Krishna. He did. My remark, he didn't look at it. Of course, Krishna has a spiritual body, and he didn't look any older than a 20 or 25-year-old man. Hare Krishna. But in this Kali Yuga, people are described as being short-lived. That's in the first canto of the Bhagavad Gita, right? Let's see. No, it's not. Manda Sumanda Mandi, Manda Bhagya Yukavirata. Manda is a Sanskrit word. It means slow. Slow to what? Like, I don't see people slow in their cars. They move very fast. And they're very fast, like Black Friday. People are really fast on that day. I don't see a lot of slow people. But when it comes to spiritual life, people are slow. Really slow to cultivating their spiritual side. So because of all these factors, we're short-lived. We don't live long. We only live for about 100 years, if you're lucky. When I was on the second walk across Canada, I was in Nova Scotia, once again, and I met a woman. She was 104 years old. So at that time, she was in 3 centuries. She experienced the 19th century, 20th century, and 21st century. So, even though she was 104 years old, she was as sharp as a whip. And her daughter, who was 85 years old, was there to be with us. We filmed her. It was for a documentary. And she had written poetry, and she had memorized her poetry. And she went on, she started to recite it to us, me and the filmmakers of this documentary. And she went on and on and on and on and on and on. Even though she had that age factor, like she go to the yeah, but she was sharp as a whip, and it's just interesting to meet people like that. She was there before they laid out the railroad, so you can imagine. Like she remembers as a girl seeing like a man with his cows just going across the road in the pasture, herding them, kind of like what you see still in India today or Israel. Any of those. Are any of you from Israel? Any of you lived in Israel before coming here? I saw on my walk in Israel, Jagannath, you were there. Where's Jagannath? Jagannath the Viking, where are you? Oh, he's skipped down there. Okay. So I would see features of Israel that were like ancient India or like Canada going back 150 years ago. It was so impressive. A man, he had sheep or something like that, and a stick, and he was just keeping them all together. They were on the trail, and there's a national trail that you walk in Israel, and we had to step aside for the sheep. Okay. So anyways, let's continue on. They only live for 100 years, therefore a special process of self-realization is required for the people of this age, right? Things are pretty hopeless for us at this age. And many of us don't get to be 100 years. And for redemption, for going for our cleanse, detox of our mind and our heart, therefore we need a simple process. And that simple process is doing the mantras and doing it again and again and again. This particular mantra. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. That is what Mahaprabhu brought. That's the peace that he brought. Let's reflect for, you. Yeah, we walked on the National Trail.
Yes.
Yes, and do you remember there was a guy, there was a lot of olive trees, and there was a guy with a bunch of sheep. But were you with me on that?
No, that's on the north. You probably was the south.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
We were south.
Okay, but we did have Vrikadar. We walked on the National Trail in Israel, right? Yeah, we did. Good. That's right, Radhikatva. On all these people, we walked together across the country. Different visits. We even went through Gaza. Almost, yes. But something told us don't do it. And the area where we were going to be, a bomb came that day and killed 9 people. So it's a good thing. Krishna spared them. That's why we changed directions. Because of that. Okay, now. Lord Chaitanya comes to us by his own example, how to follow the teachings left by Lord Krishna and attain perfection in this age. He gives us the process by which we can get back to Krishna. Very good. Back to our original life of purely loving Lord. Hare Krishna. Yeah, so that's the opening to this book here, which is very nice. And we are just reflecting on what Mahaprabhu has done for us. And I think, he got to be known by the hippies in the early days in the 60s, the American hippies. They could relate to him because he was a man of peace. And, it's a culture also about flowers. I remember when I was walking across America, and I was in Nevada, and a car stopped, and they asked, so what are you doing? A bunch of people were there. What are you doing? I'm walking across America. I started in Boston. I'm finishing up in San Francisco. And then one man said, we start to sing the song. Are you going to San Francisco? Be sure to wear some flowers in your hair. It's the age of flower children. 1967 was what they called it was the year of the year of love, something like that. The year of love. Yeah. 1967. Devotees had their first Rath Yatra ever in ISKCON. 1967. And it was when the first weddings took place in ISKCON. 1967. Summer of Love, that's what it's called, Summer of Love. Of course, it wasn't a summer of love everywhere. I was a kid growing up here in Windsor area, and you could hear across the river, the Detroit River, the bombs, the shootings, it was fire everywhere. The city was falling apart. Start and everything falls apart. Detroit was the beacon of the auto industry. It was also the birthplace of Motown music, which is happy music. But it was just starting to fall apart. And then to try to bring some hope, the Detroit city decided to build what's called the Renaissance building. They're very towering there. And Ambarish, Alfred Rushford pointed out to Prabhupada, this is a Renaissance building. They call it a Renaissance building. And Prabhupada said, there will never be a Renaissance in Detroit at that time. Okay. But all places have hope when we spread Krishna consciousness. Now we're having a good time. It's like a pure party. No one is getting drunk. No one's smoking marijuana. I went down Yonge Street yesterday from here to Union Station to catch the GO train. My God, the cannabis, oh, Hare Krishna, everywhere. But we know how to enjoy without all those things. We can have a good time through the song, through the dance, through the good music, through the flowers, through the happy people, through the trusting priests. I'm not being sarcastic. We love you guys. And Matatis. We have our own way of having a good time. And it's not that Kali Yuga, even though it's degraded, you can't have a good time. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, in fact, showed us how to do it. Before he went to Puri and spent his years there, when he was in Mayapur area, where he was born and raised, there was Srivas Thakur's home. They were having midnight parties. And they were pure spiritual parties. These were grown people. They pretended to be different people. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, sometimes, as you know, he took on the bhava or the ecstasy of Hanuman and Krishna, and sometimes the goddess of fortune. So there was all kinds of different, let's say, interesting things going on in these late night events. There were a lot of complaints from this. In charge at the time were the Muslim rulers, and complaints came from the Hindu community. We've got these people in our neighborhood, and they're howling, they're singing, making lots of noise, and you better do something about it. So the Chandkazi was his name, and he tried to stop the partying from going on. And at one particular event, when there was some outdoor kirtan, Chandkazi came, took one of the traditional Mridanga drums, made it play, and he broke it on the spot. He took liberty. He didn't order anybody to do it, he just said, enough is enough. I'm getting all these complaints, and I'm tired of it. So news got to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that the Chandkazi had broken a sacred drum and had stopped the kirtan. And Mahaprabhu was not happy about that. Mahaprabhu is another name of Chaitanya. So he arranged a protest. In many ways, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was a Protestant. You've heard this saying before, Protestant, Catholics, but talk to an Irish person, you'll know what we're talking about. Okay, he was protesting. And he was protesting against someone attempting to stop this ancient tradition of singing. And Chandkazi was the guilty one. I think you all know the story. It's really interesting. Mahaprabhu went with his many protesters in the night with torches. And they messed up his garden because they were all rallying around. And then he had an interesting talk with Chandkazi. They talked about many interesting things. One of the points was vegetarianism, basically. And, that it's not a good idea to take milk or kill the cow because the cow gives milk. Mahaprabhu raised the argument, and he said, the cow is like your mother, and the bull is like your father, because through ox power, the fields get tilled, and then you can grow things, nice veggies, grains, and things like that. So they had a real good discussion. And Chandkazi, he was a little bit of a religious scholar. He did read up on Vedic texts and stuff. You guys, you Hindus, if you read the Chitan Church, They used the word Hindu at that time. Even Mahaprabhu says, the Hindus are like this, you Muslims are like that. So Chankasi was saying that you Hindus, you have some program, yes, like Ashwamedhya, horse sacrifice, cow sacrifice, bull sacrifice. So you were guilty of what you're accusing us of. And then Mahaprabhu's answer was very interesting. Well, the way it worked was that in Vedic times, Brahmins were able to recite mantras with perfect diction, articulation, and so on, with rhyme and meter and so on like that. We don't have that now. And then he explained that in the case of horse sacrifice, horse would be forced to go into a fire, like a oven or fire. And then, like usually it was an older animal that went in there, older horse about to die. And then another horse would come out of the fire, like some magic, and it would be young, youthful, vivacious kind of horse. So Mahaprabhu explained it like this. And in the end, Chankasi was saying, well, you have a long tradition. And our tradition has arisen only more recently, like 1,000 years ago at that time. For 1,500 years is the core on music. But so, anyways, they departed on good terms, and the Chankasi said something to Mahaprabhu about this. And the Lord had questioned him. When you came to try to disrupt the kirtan, the chanting in the public, you were very aggressive. You were very, very bold. And then, after that, you stopped, you let us continue on. Well, why is there a change in your patterns of your behavior? And then Chankasi says, I'll tell you what happened. I don't want to tell everyone, it's a little bit confidential. So, I think it's okay, don't worry about this. These are my friends, you don't have to worry about them. So then, Chankasi, he speaks like this. This is the night that I broke the Mridanga drum. I had a dream that night. And in my dream came this massive lion. And it was speaking to me in such a way that I could understand it. It wasn't like just growls. And it said, when he spoke, he said, it was a very threatening voice, have disturbed my kirtan. If you do anything like this again, I will not only destroy you, I will kill all of your people. So what he did then, he kind of opened up his kurta, whatever it is, and he opened up his chest, and he showed the lion claw marks on his chest. So it was a dream that was very real. The lion, that is saying day, appeared, and he threatened him. You disturbed my sanctity, and I'm after you, like a bloodhound. I'm just giving you another phrase. So then Chankasi made an admonition. He put an order out there for the people working under him, and he said, I give this grave admonition. No one, for all my generations in my family, will ever stop the Sankirtan movement. So that's why Kirtan is going on. You know that in the province of Quebec, they won't let prayer happen in the public places. You know about it, right? It's a response to the aggressive Islamic folks. But that could happen here too. And if we're not allowed to pray in the public, maybe we won't be allowed to chant. No big worry at the moment, but who knows how the world will turn around. That would be a sad day if we can't do chanting. So just kind of like to wrap up my thing. If you want to win the favor of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, then you should chant. And also share the chant. Don't just keep it to yourself. Frikadar. Frikadar? When you first came to Canada, we were going to High Park, right? Didn't you join us? High Park. Yes, wasn't it fantastic?
Yeah.
I love that place. So my proposal to you all is keep just coming together and make those programs happen. High Park's a good place, one of the best places in Canada, in my opinion. People come and join us dancing, and they come and sit down with us. Families, and it's people, that whole area out there, High Park, people from all over the world have settled down there. And it's all green, and it's very peaceful. That is our mandate. We are supposed to share Krishna consciousness. Our God for the age is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and we want to make him happy. So that's how you do it. You share the gift of the holy name to the public. And while we're there, we'll have some sweets, we'll have some cards, open on lunch in there, we'll have some books, and probably most important of all, we'll have ourselves. We'll be there, we'll be loving, we'll be smiling, we'll give our love, and people will say, I like those fire Krishnas. I like them. You know, if the whole world could see that, why are they always smiling? Why are they always so happy? Why is it that, you know, they have some philosophy about them? Look at their clean people. They have nice families. The kids are jumping all over the place. You know, so I mean, that's the kind of promotion, the best, first hand. So we've got some work to do, and so let's work at it. Let's make it an event. There's a lot we can say about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. His pastimes as a young individual are also astounding. He has a lot of parallels to Krishna's pastimes. Krishna was a baby, he started eating mud, dirt, Nimai Pandit. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did the same thing. What evolved from that little pastime was the birth of Achincha Veda Veda Tattva, unity and diversity. Of course, it's an old concept. In the 9th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna talks about Achincha Veda Veda Tattva, not with that language, but he talks about I'm here and I'm not there. I'm absent and I'm present at the same time. You know? So Mahaprabhu did so many things. He showed us how to be spiritual and be very happy and feel very free. He was also involved in prasadam distribution. You know, he went around and personally served prasadam to everybody. You know, he welcomed anybody from any background. It didn't matter. Of course, everybody knows Haridas Thakur came from the Muslim background. He joined other people from other traditions. He interacted with the Buddhists at the time. Some of them also became softened up. So a lot of people were involved in the, what we call a renaissance at that time. You know, he revived the inner meaning or inner truth of what is bhakti. See, spiritual life is not about dogma. Have you heard that word before? Dogma. Dog we've heard, okay. Everyone's heard the word dog, okay. But then it was dogma. Dogma means just following some rules, following some regimen. But it doesn't go very deep, it doesn't hit the heart, you just follow for the sake of following. You don't know why. Well, my mom and dad did it, so I do it. You know? So we have to get away from that dogma. Mahaprabhu brought the real essence of bhakti back to the world. And he made a good attempt. Some of his followers did really good. And at some point, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's followers went underground. They were ridiculed, they were made fun of. They were taken cheaply by the public. People were not taking them seriously. So then other revivalists had come in. Of course, there's Bhaktimarga Thakur, who was a major person who, you know, brought the essence of the Vedas back into the picture, and since then people have been joining. And for Bhaktimarga Thakur comes Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, and one of his students is Sri Srila Prabhupada. He Jai. And this way it goes on. Now, when I walked across America, I spoke to I called my good friend from California, Peter Burwash, and he was a teacher of tennis. He had schools all over the world. If you wanted to join his school, you had to be vegetarian. He's very strict about it. And he spent 3 hours with Prabhupada in Toronto, hearing from Prabhupada how to run a good business. And so he applied everything that Prabhupada said. That is this Mr. Burwash. And then he had a very successful business. So I talked to him on the phone when I was walking in New York State. How are you doing, Peter? How's everything? And by the way, he's a Canadian. He's also Canadian. He moved to the States. And so do you have some advice? What do you think ISKCON should do now that we're at the 50-year mark? Jubilee, right? Call it Jubilee. 50 years Jubilee. I think it is. Well, come on, somebody look it up, man. Yeah, and so I asked him, what do you think we should do now? So he was saying, one of his emphasis was, look at your youth. Look at the young generation. Look at what you're giving to them. And give them a lot of empowerment. Give them the strength, the power, give them a leash, a lot of them, to be able to do what they need to do to spread Krishna consciousness. Jubilee? Yeah, 50 years is Jubilee. Okay, and so I was left with that to think about. And so we have that to think about as well. We got some young people here in our room here, and some of us have got salt, pepper, hair, right, Igor? So I still see a lot of pepper, but there's some salt on the side too. Okay, we're all at that age, and so we have to really be thinking about what we can do to encourage the younger generations so they can share Krishna consciousness. For sure, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's culture is all about sharing, it's about giving. Giving and forgiving and living. Not taking. How many times do you hear people go to, they help me pass the exam? Or please, I'm looking for a nice seat in my life. Or whatever, when someone's sick of the family. At least they're going to God for some help, that's a good thing. But if you really want to get the benefit from the Lord, share Krishna consciousness. Do well with it yourself, establish strong sadhana, have a nice program in the morning, maybe a little bit in the evening, before you go about doing things in the morning, for instance. But be kind to yourself. Charity begins at the home. And then make sure you share it with other people. Give it to others. All right? So that's our job. And it doesn't matter what language, what gender, it doesn't matter, people are so much into their pets. My cat. It was supposed to go overboard. But what about humans? They're the ones that will pick up on some concepts and apply it. Good. So we want to thank you very much for listening. Am I good? Jump sheet. Yeah. With time, are we doing okay? We have time for questions, right?
Yes.
Isn't he doing a great job? I love that guy. And we want to thank all the devotees, Yuri and of course Acharya is not with us today, and all really come. Every time you come into the building, I think, wow, something nice is going to happen. And Damodarati, and let's see, who do we have? Who else? A whole bunch of you. Thank you for the Tuesday night. What a great community. Your end dramas, Arena, Hare Krishna. Open to see the bloom upstairs. New room for drama practice. Woo-hoo! It's coming up. All right, so I guess we can do some questions if you have any Q&A. And Jagannath. or something. He's the last person to paint this ceiling, right? Remember? It's time to do it again. Yeah. Once this is over. Any questions, purpose that you may have? Say it in Russian. Someone will translate. Yes, I will.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much for the beautiful story and discussion. I have a question about the prayer, Maha Mantra. So we have 16 rounds to chant on a daily basis. And then at the same time, our aim is to develop love to Krishna. So while we are focusing on the chanting itself, how to combine it with the feeling that, like how to combine these two processes, feeling love and at the same time chanting purely Maha Mantra so that it becomes as a prayer, not as a, like as a, exercise.
Dogmatic, whatever.
Like I have to do for the check mark, that's why I'm doing it. And then maybe in the future the love will come. But how to develop that, how to make that process a loving process.
Well, I think, like, say, if Jagannath was going to redo the ceiling, there'll be some prep work involved, some primer has to go up there. So there's preparation work. So in the same way, when you're about to chant japa, do a little preparation. Get yourself mentally set up. And I think what is helpful is offer a prayer to Radha Gopi, offer a prayer to Krishna, and say, Krishna, please help me. For the next few minutes, I will be chanting the Maha Mantra. Please help me to focus. Help me to feel you. And allow me to be of great service to you, because that's what the message is. The love will come, but just pray for that kind of attentiveness which is required. So that's how you can prepare yourself. I'm talking about practical things. Krishna, please help me. There's someone else to do it, and I'm happy to do it. And please help for me to get more meaningful in my life, in the process. So use prayer. It's one of the 9 processes of devotional service. So vandana, pray. And then, because even the Maha Mantra is a prayer, so you've already started with a prayer, and then you can start up with a bunch of Japa mantra like that, and you get carried on. So try that, it helps. Ask Krishna with a good mindset, to establish a good mindset. Okay? Well, we call that to be mindful in our chant. So I'm just saying it helps.
And when that love comes, right? And when we chant Maha Mantra, will it come from the heart, or it will be on the basis of on the level of the mind? How will I know that the love is there?
Well, I don't think you have to worry so much about how will I know. You'll know when it comes. Is that fair to say? You'll know when it comes. I think most of us understand what is heartfelt. And it comes naturally. I'm sure each and every one of us who chants this mantra, we get flashes or we get moments where, oh yeah, this is so nice, I love this. So you've got a taste of it and you just anchor for more of it. So I think that's just the way it works. It'll be quite organic. And you don't have to worry about the results so much. As Krishna tells Arjuna, and Krishna was trying to help him in the 6th chapter, okay, this is what you do, sit down, back, neck straight, in the straight line, constantly gaze at the tip of the nose here, that means the third eye. I know he's saying all these things, but Arjuna found it a little difficult to be focused. And Krishna, more or less in his own language, said, don't worry, don't freak out, don't panic, continue on with the process, show endurance, and be detached So just be aloof from it, those feelings, they'll come naturally. Okay, that's Krishna's advice. And in the Second World War, I believe it was Churchill, who was the Prime Minister at the time for the UK, he told the people, keep calm and carry on. So another message is to say, just keep calm and just carry on with the process, you know. Try, if the mind wanders, Krishna says, bring it back under the control of the self. So initially when you start chanting, you realize, oh my God, I didn't know I was this filthy. I didn't realize I had so much, you know, anger in me. I didn't realize I was so jealous. You know, the Maha Mantra does that for you. It opens up, it reveals an awful lot. Like the curtains are drawn. So be thankful for that. So don't worry. And I think for a lot of us, when we get a little older, just like the lady that I was talking to on the phone before coming here, she's in her 60s. And, you know, she's, I mean, like her and any of us, things will slow down. And you'll really value what's simple in life. You're not for complexities. And if you are, you're going to kill yourself before the expiry time. So it's really much better to just, you know, enjoy life as you mature, and you'll start to appreciate the mantra so much more. You don't want anything complicated. You know, a little walk in the park might be the best you can do, and chant the Maha Mantra and look at all the beautiful things. The cardinal is over there, the squirrels, you know, coming up the tree, and the colors are just looking great. Just appreciate the simple things in life. And that's what happens when people get a little older. So we all have aging to look forward to. Yes. So look forward to your old age. The most impressive thing that happened to me when I met devotees in Sudbury, I was going to college there, and we were looking at a big, devotees were talking about Prabhupada, and I looked at the picture of Prabhupada, and he looked very old. I'm 20 years old, and he's got to be like 70 something, 75 or whatever. And I couldn't appreciate his age, but the devotees said something. They said, we can't wait till we get to his age. And I said, what do you mean? Nobody wants to be old. And their answer was, we like to be at that age because we feel we'll be more connected with Krishna at that time. So it was the first time I heard anybody glorify old age. So if you're on the right path, the path of bhakti, you're doing good. And as you age, you'll start to, you know, feel it more and appreciate this holy name more. And, you know, as your appetite becomes less, for food that is, the appetite for sound will be enhanced. So all I'm saying is don't panic. Just keep calm. Carry on. Get a cigar. Okay, so that's it. And he's just taking the words out of Krishna's mouth. Keep calm and carry on. All right. Anything else?
Maharaj,
Yes.
I think it's time for us to wrap up, because if you don't mind, we would like you to distribute some prasadam to a quick one, because we have to.
Okay.
If possible.
Yeah, I'm game.
Thank you very much, Maharaj, for the class and for emphasizing the importance of sharing this knowledge with others during Harinam Sankirtans. Could you please clarify what does it take for Harinam Sankirtan to be successful? I mean, does it take beautiful singing, kirtanias, expert mridanga, karnataka players, or devotees who can accompany you and do it together in the park? Is it okay if a small group of devotees go and just do it, even when they cannot sing and play that beautifully? Or will it just frighten people around and maybe
Yes.
create a biased opinion
I
about
understand your question.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. So the most important thing is sincerity. people coming together sincerely. And it's good if you can try for implementing a little professionalism. Try to bring in the finest you can in terms of musicology. Try to pull that together as well. And it's also good to prepare for hugging out. You know, it's not like you should just be banging. I'm chanting, I'm getting liberated, all these souls are getting liberated. Meanwhile, they're going, oh my God, what's that? What's that noise? So I think we should do something tasteful. When Prabhupada started the kirtan, before he sent the 3 couples to Europe from Montreal, it was the year 1968. Prabhupada had 3 couples. He trained them up how to do nice kirtan with the harmony, Redanga and Kartals. So before they went to the UK, Prabhupada wanted to sound nice. So first of all, try to get it to sound nice. Then it will be attractive and people will respect us. So if you can't get that together, then at least go to the park, go to some green space, and do the best you can. And if everyone's off key, just ask everyone to sing quietly. I'm just, that's all I can say. But, you know, Krishna sends people. Whenever you try to reach out, he'll send people. Let's say you don't have a good Mridanga player, and you're there in the park, and someone comes along, hey, I got my djembe, can I play with you guys? You know, I got my guitar. That happens so many times, especially in High Park. Therefore, I'm putting in a good word for High Park, where everyone gets high. For Krishna. So when you make an endeavor, Krishna reciprocates. You know? He'll send you the nice people that will help you make it good. But try it out. Start somewhere. You have to start. You have to start somewhere. It's a little smart, you know, that it's a fire going. It's a little kindling, and you know, so what they call it, the slate. And then the little flame comes out. And then it becomes a big fire. Hopefully it's a controlled fire. But start somewhere. But the key thing is sincerity. And Krishna will bring you, send you nice people. Okay. Thank you. And that's it then?
Yes, that was the last question.